Did you know that back in the day, most dentists did not have a dental license? So it kind of makes sense now why a lot of people were/are scared to go to the dentist. Because especially back then, you didn't know if your dentist was a guy who knew what he was doing or just some rando that liked teeth.
So now imagine that you're trying really hard to get your dental license so that you are credible, but you basically are barred from getting one because you're a girl, even though you're grossly, disgustingly educated even. You wouldn't stand for that, so you basically changed the laws to allow women into dental colleges. This is the story of Lucy Hobbs Taylor.
Intro! Lucy Beeman Hobbs was born in New York on March 14, 1833. She was the seventh of 10 children and was forced into adulthood at a very early age after both of her parents passing away. So there's actually varying sources surrounding the death of her parents. Most of them seem to agree that her parents both passed around 12, but there was one source that mentioned her mother passed away when she was 9, and then her father married her sister-in-law, so like Lucy's maternal aunt, so Lucy's dad married Lucy's mom's sister, which is a little weird. I'm not sure if this is entirely true. I only found one source that mentions it. But still, if that is true, it's a little suspicious on her father. Regardless, she is orphaned at a very young age and ends up being forced into adulthood.
If that is true, I wonder how she felt about that.
I can't imagine good.
Probably not good.
No.
Well, she became a seamstress to help support her siblings and put herself through school. She attended the Franklin Academy in New York and graduated as a school teacher, which was considered one of the few respectable career choices for women for that time period.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's not great, but she taught for 10 years, and during that time she became interested in medicine. So she would convince the town physician to give her lessons in anatomy and physiology. At 26, she ended up moving to Cincinnati, Ohio, and applied to the Eclectic Medical Institute of Cincinnati, as they claimed to accept both women and men into their school. But claimed is the key word here because she was rejected on the basis of her being a girl.
I hate that also. That's so rude.
Mm-hmm.
But here it ends up, history gets a little fuzzy because there appears to be 3 different versions of the story. The first being that she applied to the Eclectic Medical College and the Ohio College of Dentistry at the same time, and then she was rejected from both. There's another alternative where she just applied to the Eclectic Medical College, was rejected, a professor took her under his wing and discovered her knack for dentistry, and then redirected her and had her apply to the Ohio College of Dentistry, but she was still rejected. And then the third version of the story is that she applied to Eclectic Medical College, was rejected, turned to dentistry on her own, and then ended up applying to the Ohio College of Dentistry, where she was again rejected. But not exactly sure which is the correct version. Most of the sources had some variation of it. Regardless, she was rejected from any dental college that she tried to apply, the first one.
Yeah, I think the second theory makes more sense. It's more plausible that she applied to medical school and then she was rejected, but a professor was like, maybe we can talk about something similar, and then she really liked dentistry and kind of applied and switched gears there, because when she was a teacher she was talking to the town physician and trying to learn as much as she could, so I feel like it would make sense that she would be influenced and learn about something else and then discover that she had an interest in it.
Right.
But at the time there were only 3 dental schools in the whole entire United States. They were the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, the Ohio College of Dental Surgery, and the Pennsylvania College of Dental Surgery. So one of the dental school requirements at the time was to complete a preceptorship, which is basically...
Preceptorship?
Preceptorship?
Preceptor.
Preceptorship. Which is basically an apprenticeship with a dentist, and then, upon their recommendation, you could apply to dental school. So the dental school process now, instead of doing a preceptorship, you complete a bunch of shadowing hours and volunteering hours, and then you get a recommendation from your professors in college and dentists. So it's a chill version of that includes a little bit less education, it seems like.
And you're not putting random people.
Yeah.
Just in people's, not putting random people in people, but you're not letting random people work on other people's mouths, like, when they don't know what they're doing. Because, like, when you shadow, like, nowadays, like, you can, like, watch and observe and, like, maybe, like, touch something that's already been removed, but, like, you can't work on a patient.
So for the preceptorship, were they allowed to do work under the dental supervision,
I'm assuming, because when, like, preceptors for, like, medical school, like, typically, like, you have a preceptor and you already have knowledge and, like, you are, like, practicing, and then you, like, go to a preceptor to make sure you're doing everything correctly, but you're still functioning on your own.
I see. So it's like supervised dental practice.
Yeah.
That's wild. What's even wilder is that most dentists at the time did not have a degree. They would just complete the preceptorship, take a semester or two of dental school, and just start practicing. Because actually going to dental college was so rare, Lucy was trying to do something that not even most men at the time were doing, so that was very ambitious of her.
So Lucy actually had difficulty finding a preceptor, because of course male dentists were like, oh, gee, I could never let a woman into my practice, the shame. But finally, Dr. Jonathan Taft, who was the dean of the Ohio College of Dental Surgery, took her in for 3 months, and during that time, she found an apprenticeship with Dr. Samuel Wardle, who was a graduate of the Ohio College of Dentistry also. Even during her apprenticeship, she had to work most nights, still being a seamstress, just to be able to afford the bare minimum. And again, the order of events gets tricky because it seems like she applied to the Ohio of Dental Surgery after completing this apprenticeship and was rejected. So, rejected for the second time? Question mark. But she ended up following the advice of Dr. Wardle and just began practicing without a degree, like most dentists did anyways. And she was in Cincinnati, but she had a hard time finding patients because of the outbreak of the Civil War.
In 1862, she moved to McGregor, Iowa, where she practiced dentistry for 3 years and was able to establish a successful dental practice. She was known as the woman who pulls teeth, which sounds a little intimidating to say the least. My first instinct was to say, like, scary and terrifying and horrifying, but we're trying to make dentists less scary because they're actually cool and you should go to them.
I just think it's funny, though. It'd be like, you don't know this woman's name. Be like, oh, yeah, I went to the lady that pulls my teeth. Not dentist, the lady that pulls my teeth.
You know, I have a dentist appointment on Monday, but I'm gonna start telling people that I'm going to the guy who pulls my teeth. She was so successful, in fact, that when the Iowa State Dental Society changed its bylaws to allow women, she was elected into membership, becoming the first woman in history to become a member of State Dental Society.
Slay, girl boss!
She was even named a delegate to the American Dental Convention in 1865.
Double slay, girl boss! So that was super slay, girl boss. You know what's not super slay, girl boss? I've also been told that I have to translate my Gen Z lingo. Because apparently some people don't know what slay girl boss means. Slay girl boss is like, yes,
you did
good job. I would say go queen, but I don't.
You did a really good job.
So there was a guy who was not doing a really good, phenomenal job, and his name was Dr. George Barker. Barker? Okay. In response to Lucy getting elected to the Iowa State Dental Society, he published an article in the Dental Times called Dental Surgery. Should females practice it? I was reading this stuff and it made me so angry. Let's talk about it. So he basically wrote that women are not capable of the mental and physical equipment to practice dentistry. And then he goes on to talk about pregnancy and family neglect. Definitely doesn't sound like today's society, even though we're in 2025.
So this is like insane, actually, because I really want to be a dentist. And I shadowed this one girl, and she was like the tiniest little petite, really sweet lady, like soft spoken. And then my like first time shadowing her, she's like, yeah, I've got to like pull some teeth, like, you know, do an extraction. She was like yanking. Women can do this job. Women are more than qualified.
Well, there was this guy who actually I couldn't find the name of, but there was an article that was published in the Dental Register that agrees with what you're saying, not what Bunker was saying. And he said that filling a tooth requires less effort of mind and body than getting up a dinner, so like than making dinner. And the whole of dental practice is mere play, both mind and body, when compared to housekeeping. So, yes, King. This is like the male version of Slay Girl Boss. But we love whoever that was. I could not find who published the article, but yippee for supporting women.
Incredible. At the American Dental Convention, the Iowa delegation made a strong push for the Ohio College of Dental Surgery to admit Lucy. For context, Lucy had reapplied to the Ohio College of Dental Surgery for the third time. So actually, the Iowa dentists made a formal appeal and threatened to boycott any school that refused her admission. This, combined with their accomplishments, actually worked. Yay, perseverance.
How do you boycott a dental college?
That's a really good question.
Because, I'm assuming you're a dentist, so, can you not do your own dental surgery?
Right, because you have your own practice, and at the time you were just free to perform. Maybe they, put out, a not great word about them, or, everybody who was part of the convention and knew of them would, just not go to them.
Interesting.
And go to other people.
I see.
That's, the only way I could think about that.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't know if it was, a perfect...
I see. Well, regardless, she ended up moving back, Lucy, that is, ended up moving back to Cincinnati in 1865 and joining the senior class of Ohio College of Dental Surgery. So, yippee, she's in college! Or, dental school, yeah. But, funny enough, she only had to take one college session. So, in all of the documents we found, it said session. I don't know if that's a semester, which what it would be equated to in the US, or if it was just one class. But regardless, she had accumulated so many credits based on her years in practice that she was basically just getting the degree to say that she got the degree. There was another source that says that she only had to spend about 4 months to complete her thesis in dental science. Not to say that isn't admirable. She so easily could have spent... She could have just given up at any point. Nobody was trying to get a degree. They were just practicing dentistry. But she didn't give up. She was determined, and in the end, she made her dream happen. So, in 1866, along with 15 other men, Lucy Hobbs became the first woman to receive a doctorate of dental surgery.
I feel like it's one of those things where, you're so determined to do something, and so many people have told you no that you have to do it that way. Also, if you've ever gone to a dentist and they have either DMD or DSD, or DDS.
Yeah, DDS.
DDS. It's either DMD or DDS on their, business card or whatever. So Doctor of Dental Surgery, and then it's Doctor of Dental Medicine. They're actually the same thing. So it used to all be Doctor of Dental Surgery up until Harvard was I'm going to introduce something new, and they just started titling their program Doctor of Dental Medicine, but it's the exact same curriculum, and universities can kind of choose if they want to give out a DDS or a DMD. It's from my understanding.
It bothers me that the DMD is not Doctor of Medical Dentistry, and the letters are not in the right order.
Yeah, it's kind of why I'm tripping up saying it, because you would think it's the other way. But so this other guy, Dr. George Watt, he was a chemistry professor at the Ohio College of Dental Surgery, and then later became the first president of the Ohio Dental Association, commented on Lucy saying, "She is a credit to the profession of her choice and an honor to her alma mater. A better combination of modesty, perseverance, and pluck is seldom, if ever, seen."
Lucy herself actually attributes much of her success to Dr. Wardle, and she says about Dr. Wardle, "To him alone belongs the honor of making it possible for women to enter the profession. He was to us what Queen Isabella was to Columbus. May his name, like hers, be revered by every woman in the profession." So I think it's really awesome that there were men that's been documented to help Lucy, on her journey to becoming a dentist, because I feel like it's not so often that you see women getting help from men in these time periods.
Mm-hmm. After graduating, Lucy moved to Chicago and was admitted to the Illinois Dental Society. A year later, in 1867, she met and married Civil War veteran James Myrtle Taylor. She became his preceptor and started teaching him dentistry. The student became the master in this moment, as Disha would say. Together, they moved to Lawrence, Kansas, where they established one of the most successful dental practice in the state that operated for more than 40 years.
Her husband ended up dying in 1886, after which Lucy retired and dedicated her newly found freedom to charity and social causes. Specifically, her interests were women's rights and the women's suffrage movement. She quickly became an active member of the Republican Party, which the Republican Party back then is not what the Republican Party is today. And in 1895, she reopened her practice, which she operated all the way up until she passed from a cerebral hemorrhage. So a cerebral hemorrhage is like a brain bleed. And she ended up passing away in her home in October of 1901 at the age of 78. I feel like that's really long for this time period.
Oh, yeah.
She lived a long life.
Mm-hmm. Very successful. Okay, so this is about to be a little side tangent on what kind of happens to women in dentistry after her time period, or like right after her time. So there were a few other women who took an interest in dentistry around this time, but there was not a large shift in women in the dental field until 1972, so quite a while. And this is about the time when Title IX was approved. The statute stated that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So this is part of what helped bring more women into typically male-dominated careers such as dentistry. In 1986, the annual session of the American Association of Dental Schools, which is now known as the American Dental Education Association, the ADEA, reported on the number of women who were dental students across the United States. In 1960, dental students who were women were, and I quote, according to the ADEA, about as rare as hen's teeth, suggesting that there are none, or were none. In 1970, they reported that about 2% of the entering class were women. And in 1984, 25% of the total number of dental students were women. And since then, that number has been going up. Dentistry is basically becoming a female-dominated field. So, yay!
Lucy is considered a pioneer for dentistry and women alike. She paved the way specifically for female dentists right after her time. She was turned away several times, discouraged more often than not, and yet still pushed to make the most out of her situation every single time. By hearing her story, her love for dentistry is absolutely evident. She kept trying again and again until the program, that being the Ohio College of Dental Surgery, had to admit her. In 1993, the American Association of Women's Dentists established the Lucy Hobbs Taylor Award to recognize the significant service to dentistry and contribution to society, and it is regarded as the most prestigious honor that the organization bestows. It appears that she's highly regarded among the dental community. We found a lot of different dental practices speaking about her, but she's someone that most people don't know about, probably because most people don't know all that much about dentistry in general. But overall, we just hope that we taught you a little bit about Lucy Taylor Hobbs and the origins of women's dentistry in the United States.
Yay!
Second episode over, we did it!